the podium. I am so excited to be challenged and invited to take this moment, right? This no heat moment and create something totally new, the new possibilities.
Yes.
I'm grateful for the intimacy that I feel. So, my name's Jen Lyons, and the theme for 2026 is Open at the Top. The theme for February is Embracing the Edge. Today, living in the inner edge. In honor of Black History Month, we are drawing upon the book Inward Journey by Howard Thurman. He describes living on the inner edge is acting, noticing between our limited idea of self with capital S, and limited idea of self with lowercase s, and true self in this way. The demand is ever present to distinguish between the self and the non-self, not self. There are moments of enthusiasm when, with mounting excitement, we absorb ourselves in something beyond ourselves. But after this happens, we fight at length to come again into the familiar place, to be secure in our own boundaries. Again and again, the process repeats itself, wearing down the walls that shut us in. That's what we're trying to do here. Ernest Holmes provides a context for living on the inner edge. We should think of our lives as an increasing awareness, an ever-growing and expanding consciousness, a never-ceasing progress of individual and collective evolution.
Amen.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. So, as an invitation to embody this, let's affirm together. I meet my inner edge with courage, curiosity, and compassion. Okay. So now I'm inviting Reverend Kathleen to share her message, to embody it even more.
Thank you so much, Jen.
You're welcome. And I can turn this off?
No,
She needs it. Yes.
You need, okay.
Yes, that's.
we're sharing today.
We're sharing.
We're the same way.
Awesome. I like to share.
Oh,
Kathleen, just so that
yes.
you have three.
Oh, okay. Safety? Yeah, this is a great topic for the month of love, in truth, because this is really all about this idea of the edge, and I'll be talking a little bit more about it in a minute. But this is all about what Ernest Holmes talked about often when he talked about leaping into the great divine magnificence of spirit with abandon. Those aren't the exact words, but that's essentially it. Every time we run into an obstacle like we did today, there's the tendency to complain about the problem and stay stuck in it, but then there's the leap that we can make into that field of all possibility and all potentiality that allows us to create something new, to be that resilience, that flexibility. I mean, some of the words that I heard all of you say today that allow us to to stretch, expand, and unfold as our divine magnificence. And for this, I am so grateful. I want to begin with a story that I think so exemplifies what we're talking about today, this living on the inner edge. There's a woman by the name of Gladys West. How many of you have heard of Gladys West before? Oh, there are some, yes. And her, okay, can you hear me now? Okay, there we go. So Gladys was born in the time of like the 1940s. She was born in poverty on a small farm. This was a time of the Jim Crow era, a time of segregation, a time when opportunity for Afro-Americans was scarce. And yet, because of Gladys's determination and her extraordinary academic talent, she transcended in ways that really blow my mind. And so let me just give you a little bit of background. She graduated top of her class in high school, and then she earned a scholarship to go to what was then Virginia State College. It was an all-black college. She graduated with a bachelor in mathematics, and then went on and earned a master's in mathematics. And then she was hired, which again was amazing in those days. She was hired by a really well-known naval center that was doing a lot of amazing research. She was hired as a mathematician. She was kind of kept in the back room while she was doing her work, but she jumped into a challenge that is mind-blowing to even people today. She was determined to solve one of the science's most complex challenges of the time. She took the time to calculate day after day, calculations, programming that helped transform raw satellite data of the Earth into a very precise, and this is a word that geodetic models of the Earth. So some of you who are into science might know what's coming next, but what it did is it enabled the opportunity for reliable satellite-based navigation. This was the backbone of the global positioning system. The backbone of the globe, the GPS that we use all the time, we kind of take for granted now, right? She was the one who was doing all the calculations. And by the way, we can turn up the heat if it's a little cold. Does anybody know how to do that?
It's just
Oh, it's just loud, okay, all right. So, all of these things essential for navigation, for aviation, for shipping, emergency response, our smartphones, getting around in our cars, all kinds of things that the GPS is being used for today. This woman, with her extraordinary ability, was able to pull all of that data together so that it was usable.
Before
Extraordinary. Before?
computers.
Yep. Well,
No.
she used computers. She did use computer programming too. So, modern navigation, even though she had this huge impact, she remained largely unknown for decades. For decades. And then in 2023, that's only 3 years ago, the National Center for Women's Innovations decided to showcase Gladys West and her contributions. They threw her a lavish gala, which got a lot of public recognition and really put her on the map, right? Put her on the map of people who make huge contributions to science. That was October 27th, 2023. She was 93 at the time. And just this past month, She passed away at 95. I'm just so grateful she was able to receive her recognition before her passing, and that all of us can be inspired by her amazing work under extraordinary conditions of the times. So what is this thing called living on the edge then? Howard Thurman describes it like this. He said, it's how we fiercely cling to our limited self-concept, even as life invites us to step beyond it. That limited self-concept, that idea that, oh, I don't know if I can do that, I'm not enough, you know, whatever those thoughts, and those thoughts arise. I understand, this is where we have to use compassion and curiosity and courage. When those thoughts arise, that is the edge between buying into them and leaping beyond and saying, no, I am not that. I am so much grander. I am pure spirit. I can imagine Gladys doing that over and over and over again as she faced various obstacles. I am not that limited self. I am more than that. I am pure spirit. So that boundary, it's not really a boundary, I like the visual that they're using this month of somebody standing on a cliff, because that's what it can feel like, is, well, do I remain safe here on the cliff, you know, on the edge, or do I take the leap into that unknown of who I really am in truth? Do I take that leap into that unknown, that throwing myself with abandon? I'm not saying you should go leap off a cliff. But it's a great metaphor, because there's vastness, there's possibility in the embrace of our divine selves, our true selves. So it can be uncomfortable, I understand that, to move beyond that comfort zone. Ernest Holmes, I love Ernest Holmes. Oh my gosh, Ernest Holmes reminds us, and he follows the great masters before him that used clarity, observed life, and used logic to say, well, as I'm seeing how things are working in life, I can see what the nature of the divine is. And he began to perceive that spirit is always whole, perfect, and complete. It would have to be, or this universe could not function. Everything is included in God. God is an all-inclusive presence. That's why I like the idea of all-inclusive, as opposed to, I mean, perfection is truly the word. But that word is not about perfectionism. It's about understanding that everything is included in this divine presence. There's nothing wanting, there's nothing missing, there's nothing in short supply. We are made in the likeness and image of that perfection. Our essence, our essential nature is wholeness, is completeness, is perfection. Yeah, it is. Again, this is not perfectionism. Perfectionism is trying to pretend like we're perfect when underneath we don't really feel like we are. But this is really owning, falling into, surrendering into our truth and our reality. And so what happens then is, as we do that, and spiritual mind treatment is a wonderful way to do that. You know, all there is God, whole, perfect, and complete. I am that wholeness, that completeness, and that perfection in person. I am that life. And as we do that, all of the harsh judgments that come up in our own minds or that come from other people fall away. Because we can see the shining light within us, can see our truth and see the truth of others. Everyone whole, perfect, and complete. Living on the inner edge. judge then is the opportunity to look where we've been coming from and to make that leap. To make that leap. I think about Gladys West again. I think about this idea of how many times that she came up against various obstacles, people's judgments, etc. And she must have had some sense, I bet she had a very deep faith, some sense of the grandeur that existed within her and the possibility of what she could accomplish. Even with that beautiful quote, "In God all things are possible." As I live in the awareness of the God presence within all life, within myself and all life, all things are possible. Thurman also speaks of the cycle of expansion and return, and he invites us into a self-compassion around that. You know, because yes, there are times when we expand into our grandeur, and we're feeling, you know, really standing in our truth, moving beyond obstacles, and then there's a tendency to slip back. That's the return to the comfort zone. This cycle of expansion and return. If we can see that again as an opportunity to transform, not get down on ourselves, but say, okay, here's another opportunity for me to transform, to not buy into the mind chatter, to not buy into maybe someone else's opinion of us, but instead to step into who we are in truth. Use it as an opportunity. And be thankful for that awareness that we can bring to it. That's what our spiritual practice does for us, right? It awakens us to who we are so that in those times of challenge, we can rise above all that mind chatter and step into our grandeur. So let's practice, okay? Let's practice. I'm inviting you to use your courage, your curiosity, and your compassion to ask yourself, what stories, what judgments am I making about myself, or have I made about myself recently? What's my tendency when I'm faced with a huge challenge, when, something that where I could withdraw back into my safety? What is that judgment or that story that I tell myself? So just take a moment and listen. Now imagine Spirit looking at you through the eyes of perfection and wholeness. What does Spirit see is really the truth about you? Okay, and I invite you to turn to someone and share what is it that Spirit sees in the midst of that mind chatter that's going on. Can you put yourself into that place? So find someone to share with. You can do it now.
Just remember that this going to be picked up by noise.
Somebody in the back who showed
You can talk, but if you don't care, that's fine. Yeah.
You might want to get your journal out.
Yeah. One step at a time, and sometimes it's more when I have things, sometimes I can feel
And you're doing really well. And he's
then I feel back on amazing things I've already done.
these two I want to be like,
That conquers my confidence. Overseas, and that's much, and has confidence in mental potential is limitless. Yeah. Yes, and sometimes poor, but yeah. Yeah. All of us have challenges. I've learned, I was in psychotherapy for a long time, and some of my clients were very wealthy. Learned through them, they all had struggles, whether health issues, family issues, personal things within themselves. Somebody like me really hurt from the outside. So that was a struggle. And eventually,
All right, everybody. Let's everybody take a breath, nice deep breath. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Another inhale. And exhale. Yes. This topic is a hot topic, I can tell. It's warming the room up, I can feel the heat.
You're the only one.
Oh my goodness. All right. Lovely, lovely. Does everybody feel that light shining through the cracks of that old veneer, that old wall of limitation, limiting thoughts? Because that's what living on the edge is all about. It's about making room for that light to shine through, to begin to crack the walls, those walls of limitation, those old ideas, to stand in your divine magnificence. And then if you kind of slip back, it's okay, have compassion. It's part of, it's, Thurman calls it part of the human rhythm.
Yeah.
It's part of the human rhythm to have that tendency. But what happens is that's the spiral of conscious evolution. We cycle back and then we go up a little bit higher, we cycle back, we go up a little higher, we cycle back and we continue moving. And I know over the years, even though I have my moments, I'm able to cycle back into my divinity more quickly after those challenges come. And that's what helps us to navigate this life and these very challenging times. I mean, I totally acknowledge the challenge of what's going on in the world and how it affects so many people. And so these practices, these spiritual practices, are so essential for each and every one of us to stay grounded and rooted in who we are, who we really are in truth. And not to fall back into feeling powerless just before I go, I wanted to share that there are so many things that we can do in this day and age. My daughter Christy held a party to create hope cards to send to the people in Minneapolis, and then she sent them away, took a beautiful picture of them, and sent them to us so that we could see them when they were all completed, because she had it all day long. She started 9 in the morning and all the way till 11 o'clock at night or something like that, so that she could include several different groups. And she also has this way of connecting with all of us in a more private place to share things that calls that we can make to our senators and representatives, and keeps us on our toes so that we're doing our part. So there's so many things that we can do to stay empowered and keep things moving forward. If protesting is your thing, great. If it's not, phone calls, things like that really do make a difference. All right, so let's just turn within in prayer. Tuning into our divine grandeur, that perfection of spirit, that wholeness of spirit that is present everywhere. It's omnipresent, the essence of all life, and that is our essence, that is our nature. So stepping into that, remembering that, bringing that sense of wholeness into every challenge, I know is in the forefront of each one of our minds today, so that we can live as, in a similar way that Gladys West did, to live out our divine magnificence in our own unique way. She had her unique way, we have our unique way. For this, I am so grateful. I feel so much love for the spiritual community. So much love, so much gratefulness. So much gratefulness for my own life, for my family, my friends, my country, this beautiful world in which we live. And I know that love, wholeness, completeness, perfection reigns supreme in our world, because it's reigning supreme in us as well. I release this word to the action of universal law with a grateful heart. I let it be, and so it is.